All right, brother. Peace, peace, peace. Good morning, man. Hopefully, the Most High in your house shall blessing your day. By His mercies, you are consumed. We're alive in the Most High in your house shall body, and two, we're naturally alive, man. And I want to get into this, man, because you know, because honestly, like actually yesterday was the 27th, and in Genesis 27, it goes into it kind of goes into what we was talking about the other day about how how honestly, like, like David said, my weapons of war won't save me, or things of that nature. Honestly, like how carnal, how pretty much like Paul said, this war that we find is spiritual, not carnal. Honestly, and that's is what it is. But also too, I want to go into what more Yahushua said in Matthew 26, or Matthew when he says to Peter, live by the sword, die by the sword, because that's a double-edged sword within itself. That's a double meaning or double entendre, or looking at it in a different way as well, man. Because because it's not the same sword. Now in that aspect, he was talking about pretty much like like pretty much in the world or and naturally, like what Yahushua was saying is like live by the gun, die by the gun. Kind of that's what he kind of said. That's why he kind of said to Peter in that aspect. But and through a spiritual aspect, and like throughout the whole like gospel witness testimony, how that in that aspect, or just Yahushua himself, man, the sword is like the word, man, because like Hebrews 4:12 said, and which we're going to go into, and that was actually the verse of the day in the Discord app. But man, the sword is like because that's why even anybody in the spiritual sphere usually say the sword. Because when I grew up, even in the Christian church, they said the word is the sword, pretty much. So, and the word even says that. But but that we're looking at this, going to look at this aspect of how Yahushua lived by the word and he died by the word, honestly. So also too, how the lamb was slain from the foundation of the earth. So before everything, man, Yahushua, before everything, even like before Genesis, even the Genesis to beginning into the end, Yahushua had to fulfill the word, man, had to fulfill the book. So but we're going to look at it in that aspect. Let's go to Matthew real quick. Matthew chapter 26, verse 62. I think it's 26 and 52. I'm sorry. Matthew 26 and 52. It says, but Yahushua said unto them, but this when he talked to Peter, it says, Matthew 26 and verse 52. But Yahushua said to him, put your sword in its place, for all that take the sword will perish by the sword. Yeah, exactly. So exactly. See, and let's read verse 53, because it's gonna go into what we just talking about. Or do you think I cannot pray my Father and He'll provide me with more than 12 legion of angels? So yeah, exactly, man. So that's just is what it is, honestly. Because that's what it is. Because Yahushua could say, listen, I could easily get out this situation, get some angels or spirits of vengeance to kill all these people. No, the Most High's will, my Father's will, has to be accomplished. I had to fulfill this word. So because that's the will of the Father, and that's the will I wanted to do, and also too that was my purpose, and also too that's to save a bunch of other people to get everlasting life. Honestly, to save you, Peter, and save others of this generation and generation after to come, to get everlasting life. Shoot, even those that before now, that came before. But even I was thinking about this in the morning, man. That's why Saul was on the run, that 2 Samuel 3 and verse 1, that war between, that 2 Samuel 3 and verse 1, that was still prophetic, man, because the house of Saul was the Pharisees, and the house of David is Yahushua, man, because that's why when David had the chance to kill Saul, not only was that mercy, but that was that you could look at an aspect of how Yahushua could have did a lot to the Pharisees and scribes and the people at the time, but he couldn't. So that all goes into mercy, man. So the house of David produced mercy, and the house of Saul produced wrath and malicious and evil eye, things of that nature. That's another story for another day. But Matthew 26 and verse 52. But Yahushua said unto him, put your sword in its place, for all who take the sword will perish by the sword. So yeah, let's grab Hebrews 4 and 12. Then we're going to Hebrews 4 and 12. It says, For the word of Yahweh is a living and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even through the division of the soul and spirit and the joints, and is a discerner of the thoughts and intents of the heart. So exactly, man. So see that not only was Yahushua talking about the natural, like, live by, like they say in the world, in life, live by the gun, die by the gun. Like I remember seeing the Tupac mural that said, I'm not sure where it's at, but that it is what it is, and even in his life, that's kind of what happened. But anyway, that's something else. But not only is talking about that on the natural tip, like live by sword, die by sword, live by that, like, violence, die by violence, like going back to the beginning, going back to law. If, kill a man, man's blood must be shed, things of that nature. But really, it's talking about, like, how Yahweh shall live by the word, and he also died by the word, honestly. So that's just is what it is, too. So it says Hebrews 4:12. It says, for the word of Yahweh is a living, powerful, sharper than any two-edged sword, and piercing even the division of the soul and spirit, and the joints and the marrow, and is a discerner of the thoughts and intents of the heart. Exactly. That's why a lot of times too, man, like they said this word cut you. That's why it says, like, in Acts, so, they were cut to the heart, man. That's what it is, and that's really cut too. Like, I know a lot of times, but people say that in the word, that's a cut, but no, man, the real cut is honestly, when the word hits you, and it's like certain scriptures you read, like, or you hear the words, it's like, damn, that's talking about me. So that's why I always say, it's like, because, like, even when we on here, like, man, a lot of stuff, like, on here, man, I was like, dang, when I'm even reading, I was like, yo, it's talking about me right now. I'm not only dressing, like, we not only talking about other people, like, in parties or whatever. Sometimes, like, I'm talking about myself. Actually, a lot of times I'm talking about myself. So that's neither here nor there. But anyway, the things I need to fix, that's why I talk about self-examination, things of that nature. But pretty much, man, that live by sword, die by sword, man. That's how Yahushua lived by the word, and he died by the word as well. Because he had to, because the land was slain from the foundation of the earth. And we're going to close out with this. Revelation chapter 3, verse 8. It says, 13, verse 8. I'm sorry, I said 3. It says, and all who dwell on earth will worship him, whose name will have not been, this talking about the beast, whose name has not been written in the book of life of the land that was slain from the foundation of the world. So see that, man? Yahushua had to, that's why I even said that in John 8. He said, it was in John, somewhere in John, he said, man, no man can take this, like, from me, man, because I was, like, he was slain from the foundation of the world, man. He had to fulfill this word, man. So, even before everything even started. So, like, that's why the Most High Yahushua said, the word even says, before in the belly I even knew you, man. So this is already written to happen, man. So, yeah, man. So it is just what it is, man. Hopefully it's edifying, man. So much love to your brothers and sisters. So peace.